Are you the primary caregiver of a person with a disability and you're interested in learning more about accessing an employment service to support them with their job search? Well, you've come to the right place. Hi, my name is Erica Davidson, and I've been supporting people with disabilities to find and maintain employment for 23 years. And if you're interested in that type of information, then make sure you like and subscribe to this channel so that you can learn more about the information that I'm providing here. Now, to get started on this topic, I need to let you know that I am in Ontario, and more specifically, I'm in the Niagara region. Now, even from city to city, an employment service can actually roll out their services quite differently from one service to the next. So the information that I provide today is going to be very general, but I'm thinking it will still be helpful because there are certainly some relative similarities in the services and how they get rolled out. Okay, so the first thing I really want to talk about are the differences between an employment service and a temp agency. And just to clear that up, so the employment service actually works for the job seeker. That is their client. So they're there to support the job seeker. The temp agency works for the employer. The employer is their client. Secondly, the employment service is free. And while there are some paid services for employment services, like people will write your resumes and you can pay them for that, for the sake of today's video, I'm actually talking about government-funded employment services. And then temp agencies, they do receive income from the employer. So they actually receive a portion of the wage that the employer is paying out for that staff that they've hired. The temp service also has employers waiting in the wings. They're expecting the temp service to find them people to work for them, where the employment service doesn't necessarily have that. Yeah, they have relationships with employers, which will help job seeking be a lot easier because you've got more relationships there, but they don't necessarily have them waiting, expecting them to send your person over. So there's a little bit more legwork to do there. And the other thing is that an employment service will do all the work for you, they're doing all the work with you to support you with your job search. So they're going to help you build your resume, help you with interview skills, job searching skills, connect you with employers, and most, if not at least the ones that support people with disabilities, will provide on-the-job job coaching as well to help with that learning curve and making sure that accommodations are made and that success is had. On the other hand, the temp service, the part of their process is you get registered with them, but usually for the sake of a specific employer. So you've gone registered with them and then you're going to go and work for an employer that they already have waiting in the wings. Sometimes an employment service will even have you get registered with a temp service if that is one of your employment goals, that you would want to go or be willing to work with a temp agency in the interim, maybe build up your resume and that sort of thing. So that can happen as well. Then next, we want to look at ultimately choosing an employment service. So there are many reasons why somebody might show up at my desk, but some of the main reasons are location. So somebody might show up at my desk simply because we were closest to them. They'll show up saying that, hey, you guys were the closest to me, so it'll be easier for me to get here. Sometimes that means we may have to refer them somewhere else if what they're looking for is very specific and maybe we don't provide that, which is again one of those differences that could exist within services, even within the same city, within the same area. But they may come up because they're closest to us, which makes a lot of sense. It's very expensive to travel. So location is one, referral is another. Perhaps they've been referred to us by Ontario Works or ODSP, which is Ontario Disability Support Program. Maybe even they've been referred from any other outside source and that they were referred to us. So that's how they learn about us. And they still have, they can still make a decision whether or not they would really like to be able to work with us at that point as well. They're under no obligation, but they come to us through that. And then they may also come to us because they heard that we work specifically with people with disabilities. So they've come to learn more about our services and how we can help them. Now, what I would suggest to you as the primary caregiver is to do your research. Look online, ask people, call the services that are around you, learn about them, even involving your person with a disability as much as they can possibly be involved. It's going to be really good for them to do that and to be a part of that if they're able to. You know what their limits are, you know what they're able to do. But the more they're able to do, the better it is to let them do that for themselves. So do the research. And then, as I say, you can pick up the phone and call them. You can even set up a meeting to sort of test drive that agency and have a discussion with them. I've had people come and sit with me before we move forward in the job search, just to ask me questions about our service and probably get a feel for me and who I am, and to see how the relationship will work between myself and their person. And I think that that's a really great idea for everybody involved. And there's no obligation. When you set up a meeting like that, you're not obligated at all. You can decide to go somewhere else and use a different service. But once you have decided that you're going to work with them, then you're going to be looking at completing a registration with that employment service, which will probably take anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. Really depends on you and your person and how much they have to share, and how much clarity maybe the employment counselor is looking for as well. So, be prepared to spend at least an hour in that official meeting, just for a greeting and to get all the necessary work done, and then to sort of talk about what's going to come next. So in that meeting, what I strongly suggest is, here's one of those times you're going to want to let your person with a disability do as much as they can on their own, answering all the questions. And this is going to let the employment counselor really get to know your person. It's going to help them understand their own self-awareness. It's going to help them understand what their limitations are, even what their strengths are. And they're going to start to build a rapport as well and build a relationship. And this is going to be really good for you when we start to look at handing that relationship off. So building that trust between your person and the employment counselor. Now, I've also created a video called The Role of the Caregiver, Person with a Disability Seeking Employment. So I'll make sure that I link that into this video so you're able to see that at the end. Okay, so that's some very practical information about how you can feel empowered to connect with an employment service that will help your person with a disability to secure and maintain employment. So again, very general, just sort of hopefully empowering you to feel like you can make that connection and follow through with those steps, and then hopefully build that relationship. But it does lead me to another really important part of this connection. And I'm going to call these the 3 E's. Okay? So the 3 E's, the more that you are personally aware of the 3 E's for yourself and your person, but especially yourself, it's going to be a lot more helpful for the whole process to be way more successful for yourself, your person, and the employment service. So the 3 E's are expectations, emotions, and empowering. So expectations, it's really important that you know what your expectations are of yourself, of your person, and of the employment service. And that these expectations are clearly talked about throughout all the meetings. Anything that you really want to make sure is being met, and allowing the employment service to tell you if that is a realistic expectation, trusting that they are the professional. And I realize that's not always easy to do. And I realize that not everybody is going to be the best employment counselor in the world. But when you do meet an employment counselor that you are able to grow with, and you feel like there's some sort of connection, there will have to be a time that you're going to you're going to allow them to also coach you through some things if that's needed. as well as coaching your person through some things. This might be the first time that you're letting them go, right? We've already identified in a few of my previous videos that school is more of a sheltered experience and one that really invites the primary caregiver in. But employment isn't necessarily like that. So there's going to be some letting go on your part that may be very difficult. So that also leads me to speak about emotions. And this can also be tied into some of your thoughts and your beliefs as well. So what are your ideas about your person finding a job? Do you have any fears? Are you fearful of letting go? Are you fearful of failure? What will happen to you or them if they do fail? What are your ideas around having an employment counselor help you? What are your ideas about employers? What are your ideas about people in the workplace, people with disabilities in the workplace, and all those sorts of things? You really sort of want to just know where you stand on those things. If you already have a healthy regard to those things and you feel good about all of that, then that's great. But I realize that for some, that's not necessarily the case, and they might need a little bit of help working through some of that stuff. So hopefully your employment counselor will also be able to help you to deal with that a little bit. While we're not necessarily, we're not like psychiatrists or psychologists or even family counselors, but to deal with some very surface stuff about how you're feeling and how you can be able to let go and learn to trust us, learn to trust the employment counselor, might just simply be by the things that we're doing, by following up on a regular basis, by letting you know past experiences that we've had working with people with disabilities. I often share stories with my new clients, especially the primary caregiver as well. If they're not really sure, I let them know some of the successes that we've had with some people, and that just puts them to rest, knowing that they feel like they're in good hands with somebody that's had some experience with that. So once you've been able to deal with some of your expectations and your emotions and some of the thoughts that you have, then we look at empowering. And we want to hope, and our hope is that you're being empowered yourself to be the helper. So you're somebody that's helping the process. Again, you can go back to that video, the role of the caregiver, because it's a really important role. And then you're also wanting to empower your person, encourage them to do whatever they can for themselves at any point. And then thirdly, we want to empower the employment counselor to be able to take the reins and do what they need to do to help your person find that job, and then meet them at the job site, go into the employer with them without you. So this is kind of where you'll normally step aside. There may be cases that doesn't necessarily have to happen, but it usually is. So that takes some time. So there's a level of trust that's happening in this empowering stage and this empowering part of the dynamics here. A level of trust between all of you to really work together. And I remember I've had many times where I'm working with primary caregivers and the person with a disability for a while, and then we come to the point where they are now letting them go and be with me. And sometimes we'll do that for a short while just in the office. Maybe it's 20 minutes of the meeting where the primary caregiver isn't there and the person with the disability is now sitting with me on their own, and we're able to have a discussion and start building that trust between them as well. And then maybe we grow to an hour, and then we grow to, well, now we're going to go to an interview with each other without the primary caregiver, and we're going to go and have that interview with us and the employer. So this can be a slow but steady process, and it takes all of us working together. There's really this fine balance of everybody being able to work together to really provide a safe and trusting experience for you as the primary caregiver and the person with a disability, for sure. So I do hope that you found this helpful. I think I'll just end there because that's a lot of information, but each of these could certainly be broken down even more. What I want to encourage you to do is leave a comment, maybe about a fear or a struggle that you're having. You're not really sure about how to let go or what to do in a certain situation. I would be glad to assist you in any way that I can through the comments below, as well as maybe us as a community. Maybe if somebody else is reading that comment and you have an answer that you think would be helpful to somebody, please feel free, so that we can really support each other and help get our people with disabilities into the workplace and feeling like they're thriving and contributing to their community and using their skills and abilities, because they have a lot to offer. If you found this helpful, please hit subscribe and that notification bell so you know when I upload my next video. And I'll see you all next time.